mentioned a mediation instrument. Can Turkey handle such a diplomacy or mediation activity?
ترکیه داشتم هم ترکیه
I had very productive meetings with the president of the Republic of Turkey yesterday, and I also had contacts with some of the countries of the region. Some of the countries of the region, such as Turkey, are indicating that they could be mediating so that the
lots of useful, important meetings with the foreign ministers of our region, and we discussed about different initiatives and ideas existed for the peaceful settlement of this question. But as all of you know, we suddenly faced with the aggression by American forces to our nuclear facilities. The Islamic Republic of Iran condemns in the strongest terms the United States' brutal military aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities. It is an outrageous, grave, and unprecedented violation of the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. The warmongering and lawless administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression. The US military attack on the territorial integrity and national sovereignty of a UN member state carried out with genocidal Israeli regime, carried out in collusion with the genocidal Israeli regime, has once again revealed the extent of the United States' hostility towards the peace-seeking people of Iran, who will never compromise over their independence and sovereignty. The Islamic Republic of Iran continue to defend Iran's territory, sovereignty, security, and people by all means necessary against not just US military aggression, but also the reckless and unlawful actions of the state on a platform of putting an end to America's costly involvement of forever wars in our part of the world. He has betrayed not only Iran by abusing our commitment to diplomacy, but also deceived his own voters by submitting to the wishes of a wanted war criminal who has grown accustomed to exploiting the lives and wealth of American citizens to further the Israeli regime's objectives. The US act of aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities constitutes not only a flagrant breach of the UN Charter, especially the prohibition of the use of force under Article 2, Paragraph 4, and the obligation to respect the state's territorial integrity and sovereignty, but also a violation of UN Security Council Resolution 2231. It cannot be emphasized enough how much of a devastating blow that the US, a permanent member of the Security Council, has dealt to the International Atomic Energy Agency and other relevant international bodies of their duty and responsibility to take urgent and decisive action in response to this breach of international law. Silence in the face of such blatant aggression will plunge the world into an unprecedented level of danger and chaos. Humanity has come too far as a species to allow a lawless bully to take us back to the law of the jungle. The Islamic Republic of Iran calls on the Security Council to convene an emergency session to unequivocally condemn the criminal act of aggression by the United States against Iran and to hold the administration in Washington accountable for its violations of fundamental principles of United Nations Charter and of norms of international law. The responsibility of the IAEA and its Director General, who through evidence bias in favor of warmongering parties paved the way for the current violence and bloodshed, is now clearer than ever. We call on the IAEA Board of Governors to immediately convene and carry out its legal responsibility in response to the dangerous US attack on Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, all of which have been under the agency's full safeguards and monitoring. The world must not forget that it was the United States which, in the midst of a process to forge a diplomatic outcome, betrayed diplomacy by supporting the genocidal Israeli regime's launch of an illegal war of aggression on the Iranian nation. Not content with such malign actions, the United States itself has now also opted for a dangerous military operation and aggression against the people of Iran. In doing so, the US administration holds sole and full responsibility for the consequences of its actions, including the Islamic Republic of Iran's right to self-defense under the principles of the United Charter. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its security interests and people. Thank you very much.
We will now be taking questions. We'd like to start with the Associated Press.
Sayın Bakan, müzakere kapıları hala açık mı
Distinguished Minister,
görüyorsunuz?
are the doors for negotiation still open?
Tamam. Şimdi ses geliyor mu?
Can you hear me now?
Sayın Bakan,
Distinguished Minister, the
müzakere
question is
hala
as
kapıyı açık
follows.
mı görüyorsunuz?
Is the door for negotiation still open?
Hadi değil mi?
No translation. Interpreter, please speak.
Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir? In the English channel, can you hear
Bakan
me?
Arapça biliyor mu? Direkt Arapça
If
sorabilirim.
I may just step in here and just translate real quick for my colleague. He's asking if there are still room for negotiations moving forward.
Arapça olarak diye sorabilirim eğer Arapça biliyorsan.
It's all right now. You can translate is okay.
Türkçe mi? Sayın Bakan, Ahmet Gannam من التلفزيون العربي. Müzakerelere hala kapı açık mı görüyorsunuz? Tahran'la görüşmüş
Is the
müydünüz? Bugün
negotiation
nükleer
door
tesislere
still
vurulan
open?
nükleer tesislere ne
Did
kadar
you
yüzde kaç bir
contact
zarar
Tehran?
görmüştür?
What kind of damage
Arabuluculuk
has been
yapan bir
incurred
ülke var
on
mı?
the nuclear
Görüştünüz
facilities? Is
bölgedeki
there any
ülkelerle,
intermediary
Türkiye,
country
Sudan, Katar gibi
like
ülkelerle
Turkey, like
görüşüyor
Saudi
musunuz?
Arabia, like
Arabuluculuk
Qatar?
devam ediyor mu?
Are
Devam
you
ediyor mu?
continuing
Nasıl
your
görüyorsunuz bu süreci?
such activities of
Teşekkür ederiz.
mediation? How do you see the process? Thank you.
Well, I have been in touch with Tehran, of course. I still do not have exact information about the level of damages, but I don't think it matters how much damages have been made. Attacking a nuclear facility by itself is an unforgivable violation of international law and should be condemned. Yesterday, as I said, I had discussion and talks with a number of foreign ministers of the region. Almost all of them are very much concerned and interested to play a role to end this aggression by Israel, of course. They're worried about a possible attack by the United States, but yesterday we were all talking about how to stop the Israeli aggression. Well, of course, the door for diplomacy should be always keep open, but this is not the case right now. My country has been under attack, under aggression, and we have to respond based on our legitimate right of self-defense. And we will do that
Welche innenpolitischen Ziele verfolgt er mit seiner Wortwahl und diesem neuen Ultimatum?
Ja, es wird sehr viel diskutiert, was passieren könnte, wenn Donald Trump seine Drohungen wahrmacht. Da ist einmal die juristische Ebene. Die Frage nach möglichen Kriegsverbrechen wird hier immer lauter gestellt in den USA, denn es ist verboten nach internationalem Recht, zivile Infrastruktur, wenn sie nur zivilen Zwecken dient, zu bombardieren. Und es gibt Politiker, die diese Frage jetzt stellen, was dann passiert und welche Konsequenzen das habe. Die zweite Frage ist natürlich die nach dem Öl. Der Ölpreis steigt weiter in den USA und Experten rechnen jetzt damit, dass es möglicherweise zu einer Knappheit von Benzin hier tatsächlich kommen könnte. Und das wären nochmal Folgen, die auch der Wirtschaft hier in den USA sehr zusetzen könnten.
Dankeschön für den Moment nach Washington. Ja, und wir wollen natürlich weiter auf dieses Thema blicken.
In der Tat, in
precisely the same level. The war, which had begun as a campaign to eliminate Iran's nuclear and missile programs, had arrived at a point where both sides were threatening each other's civilian electricity supply, with the lights going out in Tel Aviv suburbs as a preview of what an unrestrained exchange between the two sides would actually produce. Israel has since authorized calling up 400,000 additional military reservists. Its defense minister confirmed that a new series of strike targets in both Iran and Lebanon had been approved. The IDF said it had destroyed Iran's only facility for developing submarines, located in Isfahan, and Iran, for its part, confirmed receipt of a US peace proposal through intermediaries, with Turkey and Pakistan, both mentioned as possible venues for negotiations. Senior Iranian officials said the proposal was being studied. The missiles kept flying while it was being studied, striking Israeli cities, Gulf refineries, and airport fuel depots, all of it running on a logic that both sides understand and neither has yet been willing to break. The IIGC put its position in 5 words that cut through every diplomatic statement issued by every intermediary trying to find a way out of this war. If you hit electricity, we hit electricity. The lights that went out in Tel Aviv's suburbs were Iran's opening demonstration of what that promise looks like in practice. Whether Israel and the United States decide the exchange is worth continuing is the question that the next phase of negotiations and the next wave of missiles will answer.
Wow! Wow!
इजराइल का हाल देखो दोस्तों, क्या हो गया इजराइल के अंदर। अल्लाह ताला इजराइल को बर्बाद करना, इजराइल बर्बाद।
और बहुत बड़ी बहुत बड़ी आग लगी है, बिल्डिंग वगैरह बहुत ज्यादा।
Parts of Tel Aviv went dark, not from a power cut caused by maintenance or bad weather, but from Iranian ballistic missiles hitting Israel's electricity infrastructure in what the IRGC described as a deliberate campaign to cripple the country's energy supply. The primary target was the Orot Rabin power station in Hadera, roughly 45 kilometers north of Tel Aviv, a coastal facility that supplies around 20% of Israel's total electricity. Iranian state media cited the military as saying that all power plants, energy infrastructure, and communications technology targeted. Israel's Electric Corporation said no damage was caused to its infrastructure in that specific attack, but the missile that arrived near the facility was close enough, and the intent behind it was clear enough that the threat could no longer be dismissed as rhetoric. Iran had been warning this moment was coming for days. Its parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, posted publicly that if Iran's own power plants were targeted, vital infrastructure across the entire region would be considered legitimate targets and would be irreversibly destroyed. The IRGC was even more direct, issuing a statement that said simply, "If you hit electricity, we hit electricity." What followed was not just a warning. Iran began systematically following